What if you like the minimalistic design look popular in fashion watches, but you actually want it to be, a quality watch made by an actual watch company? Oh, and you also wanted it to be an automatic watch with reliable movement. Then you might be interested in this Bulova watch, which was introduced in 2018. This is their American Clipper Classic watch, model number 96C130. At the time of this video, you can find this particular model available at Amazon for $209 US. Joma Shop also has the black version for $215. Or head over to Bulova.com and pay $316 US. Hey everyone, welcome back to Eric's Everyday Watches. As always, if you like this video, if you find it helpful, please do me a favor, hit the like button and consider subscribing. It comes in this two-part packaging. On the outside, we have a black sleeve with a Bulova logo on top. Sliding that off, we see the standard Bulova black box on the inside with a linen texture to it, and again, the Bulova logo on top, printed in a metallic gold color. And opening up that, we see on the inside the watch presented on a soft, large grape watch pillow. This watch has a very classic dress watch appearance. The case on this watch is 316 stainless steel, and the diameter comes in at 42 millimeters. For a lug-to-lug distance, we have a very respectable 50 millimeters. Like most dress watches, the case on this has a polished finish to it. On the side of the case, we can see a small bump out in the middle section, which matches up nicely with the lugs and adds a bit of visual interest to this vintage-inspired watch. The lugs themselves are rather squared off at the edges and are longer than you might find on more modern style dress watches. There are no chamfered edges or rounded corners on this case. This is all about clean, simple lines. Everything is smooth to the touch and nicely finished off. The bezel on the case is very thin, giving this watch a minimalistic style and letting this dial be the star of the show. One downside to the high polished finish, of course, is that it will collect fingerprints, but that goes without saying. On the back of the watch, there's an exhibition screw-down case back with the Bulova logo and text that reads stainless steel, the model number, and water resistant. Now they don't specifically call out on the case back that it's 30 meters or 100 feet of water resistance, but that's what you're getting here, and that's a fair amount given the style of watch and the fact that this does have an exhibition caseback window. Taking a peek inside the engine room, we see an automatic movement, and on Bulova's website, they list this movement as the Miyota 8205. That has a long history of being a dependable movement with 21 joules, beating at 21,600 beats per hour, and a 42-hour power reserve, an accuracy of -20 to +40 seconds a day. It does hand wind, but it does not hack. The second hand does not stop when you pull the crown out. Now put a pin in that for a moment because I'm going to come back to that. This watch has a signed crown with a Bulova tuning fork logo. The crown at the 3 o'clock position is 5 millimeters in width and 3 millimeters in depth, which seems small for this size of watch, but given the minimalistic style of this watch and the fact that there are no crown guards, that's probably for the best. Now this is a simple push-pull crown. Turning it while it's in it all the way in position winds the movement. Pulling it out to the first position and rotating it in one direction sets the day, while rotating it in the other direction sets the date. Pulling it out to the second position sets the time. And did you see what happened there? That's right, the second hand stopped. It hacked. Now I have no explanation for this, none. Bulova's own website lists this as the Miyota 8205 movement, and they don't specifically call out whether it hacks or not, but traditionally that movement does not hack. I've even gone back and watched reviews from 2018, and I've seen other people set the time on their watch and it did not hack. Now, it's possible Bulova has modified the movement to hack in the last couple of years, but it's unlikely. To be on the safe side, if you decide you're interested in this watch, assume that it does not hack. Without having multiple watches to test, the safest thing to do is to assume that this is some weird one-off. Do me a favor, if you have this watch, comment below when you purchased yours and whether or not the second-hand hacks. Now let's talk about the dial. It is simple and understated, which of course is the charm of this watch. There's a focus on functionality and a lack of ornamentation and decoration. We have applied metallic baton indices around the dial, and each of these indices are roughly 6 millimeters in length, which feels right for this size of dial and makes for a very pleasant looking watch. These metallic indices can appear either light or dark, depending on how the light is reflecting off of them, and surprisingly offers a good amount of contrast against the dial. At the 12 o'clock position, we have the Bulova tuning fork logo applied in the same metallic treatment. Below that, we have the Bulova logo printed in black directly on the dial. And further down at the 6 o'clock position, we find the word automatic printed in a smaller font and in all caps. The date window at the 3 o'clock position is a simple cutout and is not outlined. At first glance, it appears that the day and date may be separated by a physical divider, but upon closer inspection, that divider is simply the space between the two wheels. Both the day and date are black on white and are very legible. Unlike most watches, the baton indices here at the 3 o'clock position has not been cut short to make room for the date window. Instead, the date window is simply located more towards the center of the dial. The dial itself is a metallic silver with a sunburst pattern to it. The whole dial is a monotone color and relies on the metallic reflective qualities to add an understated visual interest. The hands on this watch are done in the same metallic treatment as the indices and are even the same width. It is nice to see this attention to detail from Bulova, and it adds a sense of unity to the dial. The minute and hour hands come to an arrow point at the end, giving them a little distinction from the indices. Now the second hand stops roughly 4 millimeters short of reaching a halt, but there is no minute track here for it to meet up with anyhow. One important thing to call out here is that there is no loom anywhere on the dial. And while this is in keeping with a vintage inspired aesthetic, it will absolutely hamper your ability to know the time after dark. Then again, nothing good happens after 7 o'clock anyhow. Or, to put it another way, gentlemen should not be out and about after dark. Yeah, I had to throw in a little old British motorcycle reference there, just for the heck of it. Topping off that dial, we have a flat piece of mineral crystal. Now the leather strap on this is 22 millimeters wide at the lugs and 4 millimeters thick. It tapers down to 19.5 millimeters wide and 2.5 millimeters thick at the last adjustment hole. It is quite shockingly an exceptional strap. Absolutely soft and pliable. It feels first rate. The black leather strap has a natural pattern to it, keeping it from looking cheap, and on the underside, we see that it is stamped with the words Genuine Leather on one side and the Bulova logo on the other. The stainless steel buckle has been signed with the Bulova logo tuning fork logo. It is really nice to see how Bulova has smartly applied their name and their tuning fork logo in various places around this watch so as not to feel overdone. The two-piece strap is more than long enough for my 7-inch wrist, and I can wear it on the third adjustment hole, leaving 6 extra adjustment holes for anyone with a much larger wrist. The strap is easily pliable enough to slip under the first fixed keeper, while the second adjustable keeper holds the end in place. This leather strap is top-notch and exactly what you would hope to come with a dressed watch. And let's list out the specs for this watch. We have a mineral crystal, the Miyota 8205 automatic movement, a diameter of 42 millimeters, a thickness of 11 millimeters, a lug width of 22 millimeters, and a lug-to-lug distance of 50 millimeters. And finally, let's wrap up by going over the pros and cons. For pros, it is a good-looking watch with its simple minimalistic aesthetics. It is very legible, both the time and the day date. It has a very reliable movement. The leather strap is very soft and pliable. and it does have that exhibition case back. For cons, there is no lume on this dial, and it is going to collect fingerprints. So my final thoughts on this watch. This minimalistic style is not something that's new. There are a lot of options out there from watches such as Orient, Citizen, Timex, and various cheaply made fashion watches. This is a nice looking monochromatic watch with an exhibition case back, and for $200, it is very respectable. This has been Eric from Eric's Everyday Watches, reminding you to buy the watch that you love. And don't pay any attention to what anybody else says or thinks. This is your watch collection. If you like this video, if you find it helpful in any way, please do me a favor, hit the like button and consider subscribing. I'll see you in the next video.